Welcome to another episode of the Read Pile. Today I'm looking at Sweet Tooth. This is the Compendium, the entire 40-issue first series. I also have the return. I've only looked at page 1 of this, but it starts like this, and I am super interested to get into this. This might be my next read. I haven't figured that out yet, but might as well, right? Sweet Tooth. My wife actually bought this after we watched season 1 of the Netflix show. I got back into comics in 2011, so the start of New 52, the launch of IDW Ninja Turtles. This was being published at the time, and I did not read it. I didn't like, honestly, the cover art. I never even cracked open an issue. I was reading, so New 52, Lemire at the time was writing Animal Man, and I was reading that. I was enjoying it, but I wasn't yet a fan of Lemire. I don't know if that started with Descender or if there was something else before that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is if I were reading this at the time, I don't think I would have enjoyed it. The art is, I don't think, as good as his later work, and I don't think that enough happens on a per issue basis that I feel like I would have dropped this. If I tried it at the time, I would have dropped it and then maybe not even watched the Netflix show. I don't know. But I'm glad that I came to it sort of in a roundabout way, that I had already watched season 1 of the Netflix show. I really enjoyed it. And I heard, just through headlines really, that the comic was much darker than the show. And I get that now. It is. There are storylines, there's characters in this that aren't in the show, and I think the show maybe better for it. Certainly it's more fleshed out, it's more drawn out in some regards, but I really enjoy the show. The character of Gus in the show is phenomenal. The actor's fantastic. And in this, he's supposed to be the same age. He's supposed to be 9. I think most of the time he looks like he's about 15. He looks a little older to me, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm saying that this is good. It's good in a different way. It's nice, I think, to see a familiar story told in a different way, because a lot of the same characters are in both the show and the comic. It's just the story develops differently. The show creates some characters, it leaves out some others. Some of the storylines aren't adapted into the show. I like seeing the same story told different ways, and it gives me some hope, some kind of expectation about where season 3, the final season, could go. I think it will probably wind up ending in a similar way, but how they get there, I don't know. I kind of hope the Dam storyline happens, but I don't know. I would like to see what happens with the Sings, definitely in the show, because the Sing's wife isn't in the comic at all, and so she's just a fantastic character in the show. I'm saying this is great. That was not a spoiler, by the way. It was only about halfway through, and if you think they're going to kill the main character halfway through the book, you're wrong. But I'm saying that this is good. It is recommended, but I don't know. I don't know your art tolerance level. I think everyone has their own. Something that my wife and I have talked about. We can read a bad story with good art, but it's much harder to read a good story with bad art. I'm not saying this art is bad. I'm just saying it's sort of maybe an acquired taste. It's not for everyone. I'll say that. I don't like that phrase. But anyway, it's true. You wind up hearing more, I think, one of the main differences, I'll say, is there's more about religion in this, certainly, than the show. There's one character in particular that's a little bit obsessed for a while about religion, about what Gus might represent, about what came before Gus, about what everything means. There's also, early on, some dreams that seem to become reality, so there's some kind of metaphysical stuff going on. It is very different from the show, but also it's on the same trajectory, I'll say. It's ultimately recommended. Just sort of know what you're getting into, which is that it is darker than the Netflix show. It just is. And I feel like the art might turn some people off. What I find interesting too is there's a couple of these sideways issues, and if I could find it, here we go. So there's a couple of parts where it's almost storybook, where you wind up turning the whole thing sideways, and while I'm reading this, I hear it in Brolin's voice. It's like Brolin is still narrating the show. I found that very interesting, and I enjoyed it. I had one annoyance early on that changed later, so it stopped happening. But Gus refers to Jeopard as Big Man, and seemingly everyone refers to Jeopard as Big Man, even though I feel like other people would have different nicknames for him, like a big boy at least. It's a very, very minor annoyance, but I'm like, why isn't there more variety in this nickname? Why is literally everyone calling him Big Man? It's a little weird. It stopped happening. I got over it. This is good. It's recommended. Hopefully you're also watching the show on Netflix, because it's amazing. But this is recommended, and I want to jump into this to see where things wind up, where things go from here.